Now, for more, I want to bring in now Matthew RJ Brodsky, the president of Red Axe Strategies and senior fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy. Matthew, thanks for being with us on the rundown today. We heard this big speech coming from the U.S. president at this U.S.-Saudi investment forum, and that's where I want to begin with you when it comes to the messaging coming from the U.S. president right now. Is this three-day trip to the Middle East, is this all just a business frenzy for the president? Is that really the main goal? Businessman Trump, he likes to secure these deals, or is there a lot more happening behind the scenes when all of these shaking hands and meetings are happening?
Great question, and good to be back. So Trump has always, of course, fashioned himself as a huge maker of deals, and he wants to make financial deals with the Gulf states. So it's no surprise that for a president who is constantly run on saying that the United States is getting ripped off by our foreign partners, that he's going to want to play up any kind of economic deal. And we can recall, I think it was 2017 or 18, when the Saudis, when Mohammed bin Salman was in the Oval Office with Trump, and they were kind of gushing over the huge military sales that were happening there. So that's very important. Trump will portray this as a success, as well he should. But as you point out, a lot of what's going on behind the scenes is what's going to end up capturing a lot of news, I think, especially inside of Israel, and those who are national security oriented in the United States. That includes Iran, that includes the latest very interesting developments with Qatar, and the widening of the Abraham Accords, which we see that Trump would like to do, but he really just wants to end the war in Gaza, and that, of course, is problematic for several reasons.
Well, you talk about the Abraham Accords, and Trump did tout the Abraham Accords in this speech, but he said it's going to happen on Saudi Arabia's time in hopes that they will join the Abraham Accords. But it seems this is not Trump's priority in round two of him re-entering office. This was his big move during Trump 1.0, but Trump 2.0, there's a lot more at play when it comes to the region. This is not the same region that Trump is entering the White House.
Yeah, and you'll notice that this is not just a Trump thing, though he has a certain way of communicating it. All American presidents of recent memory come into office basically trying to disavow whatever had happened right beforehand. Trump came in and wanted nothing to do with Syria. Obama came in, wanted nothing to do with Iraq. Those were the previous people's wars. Reality doesn't work that way. And it is, as you point out, a very different region right now. Trump wants to have his great foreign policy legacy be a deal with Iran, and he wants to expand the Abraham Accords to include Saudi Arabia. Now, the problem with Iran and the problem with wanting a deal too much is, does he end up boxing himself into a corner where any deal is better than no deal? And does he believe that, given the divide in the United States, that essentially whatever he declares is reality will be seen as reality by half of Americans anyways, and therefore he can make a JCPOA 2.0 and just sell it the same way Obama did, which it closes off all paths to a nuclear weapon, when in fact it might just be a temporary halt on enrichment. Right now, everyone is waiting with bated breath to figure out which direction this is going, because nothing could be more critical than Iran's nuclear program.
And all of these items, they have an indirect impact on Israel, but Israel was not directly mentioned at all during U.S. President Trump's speech in Saudi Arabia. What is the significance of that, as there's already these reports that the growing daylight since Trump is not visiting Israel in the region? Should we read into the fact that Israel was not mentioned once during this 50-minute speech?
So everyone will have heard, who watches this show, that there's always really warm relationships behind the scenes. You know, if it's bad relations with Biden, well, military to military contacts are great. The same kind of communications still going on with Saudi Arabia, and that's positive. The Arab Street, as we often hear about, is fed a very steady diet of one-sided propaganda, we should call it, as far as what is happening inside of Gaza. And that makes it an unpopular thing to say publicly in Saudi Arabia amongst gathered Arab leaders, to be stressing Israel and cooperation with Israel. Now, that happens to just be a reality. Now, the details on all of this stuff matters, because as I said with nuclear negotiations, there is a way that Trump has said and Rubio has said that we can have a deal, which is the full dismantling and no enrichment of uranium on Iranian soil. And the same thing with Gaza. There has to be Hamas purely defeated, which he didn't actually say during this speech, just said something about leaders who don't whatever. It wasn't as forceful as usual. But he sees ending the war as quick as possible as his greatest pathway to the Abraham Accords and to expanding that. And again, like I'm saying, the details matter. Is Hamas defeated? Are they not allowed to rule again? Or is he now trying to prop up Abbas again to throw in, now that he apparently is meeting with him or his vice president or whatever from the Palestinian Authority? A lot at play.
Certainly a lot at play, and the details certainly matter, and we'll be learning a lot more of those details over the next few days of this big trip here in the Middle East. Matthew RJ Brodsky, thank you for your analysis and for joining us as always.
Pleasure.